wonder, what do you think? What do you think of the name for the show? It's like Sick Person, Sick Home, or something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Like Sick Person, Sick Home, or something like that. So today is October 18th, right?
20th.
Today's the 20th? Today's October 20th, and we're filming the first pilot for the reality show. Which doesn't have a name yet. You know, like when I go in and do TV shows and stuff like that, and
you know what's beautiful about this? We're going to help a lot of people get well, you know? That's what
what people are going to find out is they're going to find out what's been hidden from them for years and years and years. And basically, that their whole environment surrounding them is toxic. And it's causing them to be sick, to lose energy, to gain weight, to have aches and pains, to everything. I mean, even the hair dryer right now that he's blowing my hair with is emitting, toxic radiation into my head. I mean, a hair dryer is one of the highest emitting sources of.
One side is longer than the other side.
I've got some
the radiation is measured in what's called milligauss, and
Okay, where's that rubber?
leaving up there.
No, you had.
do we want to say anything about you? Like where you and I are talking.
I left it out in
What?
my rubber band. Well, I've spent the last 20 years determining why disease comes about, and have discovered some pretty amazing things in the process. That nobody gets disease unless they're bombarded by too many toxins coming into the body. But I'm going to explain that too to Dory whenever we first start.
Exorcism.
Yeah.
Zone. Buzz. It's my phone. Do you think it's my phone?
Well, I'm
No, it's not your phone. I don't know what it is.
excited about this reality show. I think I know I've known Drgroup for over 20 years, and I've seen miraculous miracles around Drgroup. So I'm very excited about what we're getting ready to do, because many people's lives are going to be changed, I feel.
If you can change the way people think about things, if you can just educate them to where they read the label and they understand what's on the label, then ultimately you're changing the whole world. Because if one person realizes that the toothpaste that they're using, let's just say, is toxic not only to their body but toxic to the environment, and then they change to an all-natural toothpaste, well, you've already just prevented some damage to the environment and damage to their body. It's a trickle-down effect, I mean, they might not have to take as many trips to the dentist's office anymore, which means they're not going to have as many porcelains or mercury fillings that are ultimately going to be deposited into the environment. And when you take the millions of chemicals that are used, or the millions of beauty products, skincare creams, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, I mean, you name it, when you take all of those together and people change and they start buying natural products that are non-toxic to the body and the environment, then ultimately you change the world. And you force companies to use, you know, biodegradable products and natural products instead of the chemical products that they're using now.
So, you
So
know,
those chemicals never degrade, you know, it ends up going into the water systems and the fish get contaminated. I mean, there was a study that was just done. They tested fish in every single lake, body of water, stream in the entire world and found every single fish contaminated with mercury. There's not one place on the planet. They even went to the streams at the top of the mountains in Alaska, and the fish still had signs of mercury, had levels of mercury in them, which is a whole nother subject. I mean, just the fact that there's so many coal-fired power plants in the world too that are releasing mercury into the air that, you know, we're getting highly contaminated, and we're getting a lot of health problems because we're soaking in all
so
the
we
mercury.
hope with this reality show to help many people. Dr. Group, you have been around the world. You've done many, many studies around the world, and you've helped many, many people already. And now that you're doing everything natural, everything that you're finding natural, even some of the products that are coming in that we think we're taking, like vitamins and different things like that, we're finding out that some of even the medicines that are coming in are toxic. I know when we discussed this before.
You know what's strange is if you know how many people are on antidepressants right now and people that are on Prozac. Prozac is 30% fluoride, and fluoride is the second or third most toxic compound known to man. And they put it in our water system, and it's an antidepressant. They actually started using fluoride in the water system to actually dumb down people or to make people easier to control. Because they used it for military purposes years ago to against the enemies, because it would keep you calm and it would reduce the amount of rage and anger that you had. So they put it in our water systems, number one, to calm the people down, to make sure that the government wouldn't have a big protest or some people fighting against the government, and then also just to get rid of all the waste from aluminum processing and they didn't know what to do with all the.
Here comes some toxins. Wait, that's too hot. I'll put it lower.
So you
don't need to put any hairspray on there. You can just.
We're
doing a show about toxins. I don't know if there's toxins in
well, this hairspray is not good for you.
Let's go. Let me see. I see what you have. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you don't know what it is, don't use it. Yeah. But the good news is there's natural replacements for pretty much everything.
So natural replacements, you mean what? By natural replacements?
Natural replacements, I would say like a chemical preservative, like or let's say this is a hairspray right here. Well, a natural replacement would be a hairspray using, instead of chemicals and propellants and everything like that, and stabilizers and emulsifiers, just a bunch of chemicals that cause disease. You take each chemical and list it out. I mean, you could take any chemical from cosmetics to hairsprays or anything like that and type it in Google, and most likely you're going to have an adverse effect, or you're going to have some symptoms associated with it, or you're going to have a hazardous sheet if that chemical is touched or consumed. And when I talk about natural replacements, I mean, what you would do is you would have somebody formulate a hairspray using all natural or organic herbs or ingredients. I mean, you can use, like, to make it sticky, you could use different types of gums, like gum arabic or something like that. Or you can, there's always natural replacements for the chemicals. The thing is, the big problem is you can't patent natural substances. So the way that the reason why chemicals came into existence is just nothing more than money, because if they create these chemicals and put them together in a formula, then they can say, that's mine, I'm patenting that formula. Nobody else can do it. Whereas if I create a natural supplement, I can still patent it, but then somebody can come along and just change 5 milligrams of each ingredient and then create their own product. So there's no vested interest in companies in the natural field to patent their products because they know it's going to be copied right away. And they don't, and plus the natural companies are new. They don't have the millions of dollars behind them to put into all the, you know, the patent process. And so, but you're slowly seeing replacements now. I mean, like we sell an organic shampoo and conditioner. It's Max Green Alchemy. Have you heard of Max Green Alchemy? Mm-hmm. It's a really good shampoo and conditioner company, which is made of pretty much all organic.
So you check every product, for instance, like on this hairspray, go down and check the ingredient, because this one ingredient in here can be causing a side effect.
Yes, yes. You know, your skin is your largest organ, so you absorb everything through your skin. You could spray that on and be absorbing a chemical that you have an allergy to or that causes some sort of reaction in your body. You might not even feel it, actually. You know, let's say your immune system is working at 100% and your body is functioning at 100%. Well, you spray that on and you don't feel it because it works at a cellular level, and cells are so small you look at them under the microscope. I mean, you can't feel one cell moving around inside your body. You know, you have 100 trillion cells inside your system and you still can't even feel that many cells moving around inside your body. But that chemical could deactivate a cell from producing, you know, an enzyme or producing something else, and you know, it could cause something to stop in your body and you not even know it. But when you combine, you know, 20 chemicals in this and 20 chemicals in something else and 20 chemicals in something else and 20 chemicals in something else, it's when the body gets overloaded.
Okay.
Behind the scenes.
So today we're here with Dory, and you know, we wanted to evaluate Dory's house, evaluate her condition, because in 20 years time of researching health and disease, I've come to the conclusion that every single health problem that anyone suffers from is caused directly from their environment. And just to explain that a little bit, let's say somebody has diabetes, or what are you suffering from right now? I mean, what is really bothering you?
I suffer from asthma, and I never had it as a child, but I developed it in the last 10 years. So it's adult asthma. I have high blood pressure. That's probably related to stress, I guess, to some extent. And then I had Graves' disease when I was in my 20s, so I was treated with radioactive iodine. So I'm on a synthetic Synthroid that I take every day. So probably my metabolism and holding on to, at my age, I guess, you know, I'm not going through a change in life or anything like that yet, but I guess just metabolism changing.
What about your energy levels?
Oh, I'm the Energizer Bunny naturally. When you get to my office and you see my staff, they're like, "How does she do it?" Or, you know, people say that about me, that I have a high degree of energy. The only thing that I've noticed is my mom passed away a year and a half ago, and whereas it used to take me like an hour to get going and completely ready, and my daughter when she was younger, it just seems like it takes me 3 hours to get going almost. Like I have to wake up earlier because I just feel this sluggish feeling in the morning, and I've noticed. So, and again, that could be an adjustment from losing someone close in your life.
Well, just to, you know, one thing I notice is that people go to the doctor all the time, and the doctor spends, the average office visit with a doctor is less than 7 minutes. So after evaluating and spending years working with thousands of patients and, you know, interviewing different doctors, I found that there's a big problem, and that doctors are not addressing the root cause of your problem, but they're addressing the symptoms of your problems in most cases. So if someone goes into the doctor's office with a headache or some pain somewhere, and the doctor gives them pain medication, but that didn't really fix their problem. So the research I did was trying to find out what's causing all these health problems. And everybody's different. Everybody lives in a different environment. So what could be causing your problems could be something completely different than what's causing somebody else's problems. But one thing is for sure, 100%, and that's that every single degenerative health problem, whether it's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, you know, you had Graves, which, you know, we can talk about that too, which, you know, I would recommend getting on Armour, which is a natural thyroid instead of Synthroid. But everything is caused by too many toxins coming in and not enough toxins coming out of the body. And then when you start following people around and seeing what they do every day and the amount of toxins that they bring in, then you realize the damage that it's causing on the system. So it doesn't matter if someone has cancer, asthma, heart disease, arthritis, anything. What happens is your body has a self-healing mechanism, and your body has a threshold. You know, we have the best medicine in the world inside of us. We don't really need to take anything else except for just keeping the inside of our bodies clean. So if you're suffering from any condition, let's say that your body can only handle 200,000 toxins on a daily basis. Somebody else who might exercise or something might be able to handle 500,000 toxins on a daily basis. But if your body can only handle 200,000 toxins on a daily basis, and you're breathing in toxic air, you're drinking toxic water, you're drinking other toxic beverages, you have parasites in your body which are secreting, you know, parasites would be anything like a bacteria, viruses, worms, fungus. You know, a lot of people have candida and everything like that. I mean, everybody,
How do you know you have all these things?
Everybody is infested with parasites.
Oh,
There's
really?
not one person on the planet that's not. I mean, it's impossible not to. I mean, you eat, you know, if you eat sushi or even salads,
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to get little bugs inside your system. And cancer patients especially have about 1 trillion organisms, harmful organisms inside their body. And what happens is all these organisms take your nutrients in your food from you, and then they go to the bathroom in your body. And that's the real problem, because they secrete formaldehyde, formalin, isopropyl alcohol, like really acidic compounds that just like decay the inside of your body or preserve the inside of your body. So, I mean, it's a combination of everything. I mean, heavy metal toxicity. You're looking at the foods that people eat. You know, you have genetically modified foods, preservatives, the type of sugars that people consume. And it's a combination, and like you said, with stress too. Stress reduces the immune system by 50% automatically. So when you combine 200,000 toxins from air, 200,000 toxins from water, 200,000 toxins from beverages, 200,000 toxins from parasites, 200,000 from prescription medications or just
And then
other
stress
stuff.
on top of it.
Stress, 200,000 toxins from
Right.
food, then whenever you go over your threshold is when your body says, whoa, hold on a second, I'm going to start giving you some symptoms to look at, like headaches or something like that, to where you can say, well, what your body really wants is your body wants you to listen to it. I mean, you know, when your body cries out and you're constipated, or you have a headache, or you have joint pain, or like your thumb that you're telling me about, that's your body saying you're doing something wrong. You know, please evaluate what's going on and fix this problem, because it wants you to pay attention to it. Or when you have a headache or something like that, and you did. I mean, you're paying attention to it.
Right.
What happens though is people just go to the doctor's office and they say, you know, my thumb hurts right here. I don't know what's going on. So what does the doctor do? He's gonna follow the
Lots of
protocol that
tests.
he was taught. And I mean, I was taught the same thing. I was brainwashed, literally. I mean, I thought that and believed that pharmaceuticals were the answer to everything. I mean, that's the way I was raised. That's what I believed. That's what I was taught. And it wasn't until a guy that was treating cancer using natural methods, I got in an argument with him. And, you know, I thought he was a quack and everything else. And he said, well, you know, you have a background in biochemistry. Just why don't you pick any pharmaceutical and prove to me that it works? So I said, oh, no problem. I mean, you know, all this science and everything behind pharmaceuticals, I mean, the general public's not going to be deceived. I mean, you know, that would be the biggest deception pretty much in the history. And you know, they never teach you about that in medical school or anything else, where you break down the chemical compound of a pharmaceutical and actually see how it works for what supposedly it's treating. Well, it only took about 2 hours for me to realize that pharmaceuticals really don't treat anything. All they do is just cover up a symptom. I mean, if you have pain, they're going to cover up the pain receptors. It's not addressing why you have the pain. You know, if you have inflammation, all it's going to do is reduce the inflammation, but it's not going to treat the root cause of the problem. So I can remember actually just crying on the way home from the library, thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is actually happening. I mean, no one's getting better. And one pharmaceutical leads to 4 or 5 other symptoms, and then the next thing you know, you're back in the doctor's office taking, you know, more pharmaceuticals, and then more pharmaceuticals, and more pharmaceuticals. Now, I mean, I'm not like anti-pharmaceutical where I'm saying, you know, you can't take any pharmaceuticals, because I mean, there's times for, you know, times where you might need some, but I don't think it should be a long-term thing. I think that you should find a solution or correct the problem or the root cause, and then at that point reduce or go more into natural methods. So what I want to do today is just kind of follow you around and determine what level of these toxins you're being exposed to on a daily basis. So maybe we can reduce, you know, or fix your asthma, fix all the little problems. I mean, you're really kind of simple because you don't really have a lot of, you know, problems, like major problems. I mean, you seem like you're pretty happy. I mean, you're kind of bubbly and everything.
That's just my spirit, I guess. Yeah. And I had one thing that I didn't tell you. I have a cyst that's 6.8 centimeters that has been causing like some abnormal bleeding, but they're, you know, wanting to take that out, but it's biopsied and I don't have cancer. But you know, the problem of the bleeding, you know, and a lot of bleeding, that's kind of and I feel like when I'm under stress, it seems like I bleed more.
Is it an ovarian cyst?
Yes. Yeah, like 6.8 centimeters. So, and I guess my feeling is the doctor kind of wanted to immediately take out everything, and you know, your ovaries, your cervix, your everything. And to me, that was just shocking, because why don't we just, like you, just take out that problem, that little 6.8 centimeter cyst? You know, my mother was in her 60s and she still didn't go through the change, I don't think, in her life. So if I'm, you know, I feel like, why would you do something so aggressive?
It doesn't do anything. I mean, if you take it out, the problem's still there. I mean, you have to address why you have the cyst to begin with, and why you have the cyst.
How did it develop?
How it developed.
How do you think a cyst develops?
Well, I'll tell you how it developed. You're past your threshold. You have too many toxins coming in your body, and your body can't handle as many toxins as you're eliminating. See, because women have 5 ways to eliminate toxins from their body. And toxins, the definition of a toxin is anything that you're putting in your body that's not healthy and that's going to do your body some harm. You might not feel it, you know, because you can't feel 100 trillion cells in your body moving around, right? I mean, your body's 100 trillion cells. But every cell has a certain function. It might produce synovial fluid for arthritis.
Right.
It might do this or it might do that. In your case, with ovarian cysts, your body is overloaded with toxins, and what happens is the body picks an area to start dumping the toxins, because it doesn't want to just throw the toxins everywhere.
Right, and it
in your
created
system.
a golf ball size cyst.
So that's what happens. It's the same with cancer and everything. Cancer, diabetes.
Thank God it's benign, but still, you know.
So how you address that and get rid of it is you start cleaning your body. I mean, when your body starts to be dirty is when
but I'm so clean. I take a shower and bath every day.
Exactly, but how many times do
it's probably a bad thing for me, right?
No, well, here's the thing. That's a good point that you make. You take a shower every day. How many times do you shower sometimes. The inside of your body?
Well, you do it when you have a colonoscopy, I think.
Well, no, you don't.
Yeah, you have to put those toxins.
All right, picture this. All right,
I only had one of those so far.
You cook 3 meals a day in your kitchen, right?
I don't usually cook a lot. I work 12 hours a day.
All right, well, just say, let's say, just for, you know,
Argument's
talking
sake.
sake, let's just say that one day you take off of work and you decide to cook 3 meals in your kitchen.
Wow.
You cook breakfast, you eat it. You cook lunch, you eat it. You cook dinner and eat
That
it.
could be taught.
And you don't wash your dishes, but you just pile them up and you just leave them all over your kitchen. What would your kitchen look like and smell like in 3 days?
Not very good.
Do you think that there would be bacteria and
Of
mold
course.
and fungus and all that growing in there?
Of course.
What would happen if you ate that same food but didn't go to the bathroom in your body in 3 days? Do you think the
Like
same
you
thing
said,
would happen in the kitchen inside your body?
You know, just it would be toxic.
It's exactly the same thing that happens inside your body. The proteins end up turning putrefactic, the carbohydrates end up fermenting, and the fats end up turning rancid. You create this slew of stuff inside your body. Another example would be, let's say you had a big trash can, and for a couple of days, everything that you bought, like let's say you went to McDonald's in the morning and got, you know, egg McMuffin, coffee, whatever, and then, but you also bought one for your pal, the trash can, and you bought one for you. And you pour, for the trash can, you pour everything into this big mix, and then after a couple of days, that trash can would be full with, who knows, dinner, people go out and get a steak, red wine, dessert and stuff like that. And then you just mix that concoction up in the trash can, and you set it outside at a 98.6 degree heat, because that's what your body temperature is. And you let it sit there for 3 days. And the reason why I say 3 days is because really the majority of people are constipated and they don't go to the bathroom for maybe once every couple of days or once every 3 days. And if you drink coffee, that to go to the bathroom, that still means you're constipated. So basically you have this whole slew of this garbage, and it just turns into this infested. I mean, think of how many toxins you have in a, with all the water and the Cokes and everything else you're pouring in there that you're drinking all day long, teas and stuff like that with the fluoride and chlorine from the water. I mean, you're talking about a big chemical mix, considering that most of the most of the food that you're going to get is genetically modified. It's going to be, have pesticides, chemicals, and everything else in it, unless you're eating fully organic. So all of those toxins, I mean, that barrel might have like 100 million different toxic chemicals in it, because like one bag of an artificial sweetener like a Splenda or something like that might have 10,000 molecules of a toxic substance. I mean, artificial sweeteners are one of the most toxic things you can put in your body, like aspartame,
So what's the
sucralose
best,
and stuff like that.
like I have 5 sweeteners. If I showed you, what would be the best?
We'll go through all those. Yeah, I mean, the best sweetener you can use is going to be like xylitol, which is an all-natural sweetener from birch trees. But to answer your point about, why you're dealing with the conditions that you're dealing with in the ovarian cyst, is because you've gone over the threshold of being able to eliminate more than you're bringing in. And the thing is, the older you get, the harder it is to eliminate. Like if you see a 10-year-old kid running around, it's just that, look, it's years of being bombarded, and it's not really all your fault, because, I mean, what can you do about the air quality? I mean, you take 30,000 breaths every single day. I mean, the air is worse inside most of the time than it is outside. And every single home, the air is sick, it's not healthy to breathe, and in every single office building, the air is sick, and it's not, office buildings especially, because they recirculate.
Right, and we have like, at my office, we've had a lot of major roof leaks, and they haven't repaired the roof yet. Constantly, they were supposed to repair it in February, and recently we have leaks. I came in and there was water dripping on my copy machine in one of the sublet offices. There's stains in the ceiling, so you can see. This house was purchased in the end of 2002, and it was actually remediated for mold. And so I don't know, potentially, it was remediated, so coincidentally I've had my asthma situation. My husband is a smoker, and he was smoking outside and in the garage, but due to the climate of Houston, recently he smokes 2 to 3 packs a day. He was smoking in the upstairs bedroom, not necessarily in the bedroom I was, but I think through the ventilation system it was bothering me because, it's a lung disease, asthma. So smoking is, it just closes the capacity for me to breathe.
Well, the good news is you can fix all that. The good news, it might take you 40 or 50 years to develop a bunch of conditions. I mean, nowadays you're seeing the same conditions in teenagers and people in their 20s that you never saw until you got to be 40 or 50. I mean, you're seeing heart disease in kids, you're seeing obesity in kids, you're seeing cancer in kids. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on. But to go back to the elimination routes, you have 5 elimination routes, guys only have 4. You have your menstrual cycle, you have defecation, bowel movements, you have urination, you have sweating through the skin, and then you have breathing through respiration. Well, 50, and guys, guys obviously don't have menstrual cycles, but they only have 4 elimination routes.
Some do.
Well, they definitely have PMS. What is it, like male menstrual syndrome? There's like a male PMS now.
Okay.
But some men argue the fact that they're just like, they get in rhythm with their wife or their girlfriends.
Right, exactly. I understand.
They always blame it on the girl. But the problem is that everybody's, since computers came out and everybody started living a sedentary lifestyle, their elimination routes have been blocked or closed. I mean, exercise has gone way down. I mean, from the general child all the way up through adult. I mean, they took PE out of most of the schools. Kids aren't getting enough exercise. They're playing video games all the time. So, I mean, the elimination, 50% of your elimination routes can be opened up just with exercise because you sweat and you breathe heavy, right? So if you're not exercising on a regular basis, you might as well close down 50% of your elimination routes. Then most people are not having two bowel movements a day like they're supposed to because they're eating a bunch of food that constipates them and everything else. So you shut down that elimination route. So now you have 2 elimination routes. Well, most women I talk to, their menstrual cycles aren't regular, and then if you're postmenopausal, that elimination route shut down too. So
or
boom.
In my case, I'm bleeding 15 days out of 30. So maybe the others aren't working, so that one's overworking to get those toxins out of the body.
Well, most likely, did you only start bleeding that way when you had the ovarian cysts?
Yes.
See, because those are just probably small capillaries that are breaking around the cysts that are bleeding. So you're actually not eliminating your endometrial tissue all the time, which the toxins are stored in. So
it's from that situation.
So, that to me would be eliminated. So you're pretty much left with urination. Now, do you wake up in the middle of the night to urinate at all?
Occasionally. The drug I take, the Diavan, it has a diuretic. So sometimes, yes, it might do that. But that's because it's a false thing. It's a drug making me do it, not because if I didn't take the drug, then that wouldn't happen.
So this elimination route might be blocked too. So basically, if you're taking in 2 million toxins on a daily basis and you're only eliminating 100,000 on a daily basis, they have to go somewhere. And the thing is, one of the things when we had a cancer clinic here and a degenerative disease clinic here in Texas, I think it's really important for people and patients to understand why they have their condition. I mean, it's like, why would I would never try to rewire all the electricity in my house unless I knew a lot about electricity, right? One of the things that's missing these days is that individuals that are suffering from health conditions aren't taught about why they have the conditions that they're suffering from. I would see cancer patients that had gone to like multiple clinics all over the world, and then they would come and they would sit down and I would say, well, tell me about your cancer. How did you get it? And they would go, I don't know. I said, well, don't you think that you need to understand how you got cancer in order to understand how to get rid of your cancer? And they would be like, yeah. Don't you think you need to understand what's causing your asthma to learn how to get rid of it? Don't you think you want to know why you have ovarian cysts? Once you know why you have them, then you know how to get rid of them, right? Why you have that. I mean, that's really what a true doctor should be. I mean, the definition of a doctor is a teacher by definition. a teacher first. You shouldn't be, a doctor shouldn't be a prescriber. A doctor should be a teacher. Should teach you why you have the things that you're suffering from is what I'm going to teach you, and how you can get rid of them. And it's really, you know, fairly easy. If everybody knew that, we'd be living in a completely different world right now. So that's what I want to, you know, do, is to help you out and to reduce the level of toxins that you're bringing. You know, I want to point out to you what you're exposing yourself to every single day. You don't have to, like, all of a sudden, you know, quit doing that, because the good news is there's natural replacements for everything.
Oh, sure.
You know? And then what we're going to do is reduce your daily toxin intake, clean the inside of your body, because we go so many years in not cleaning the inside of our body. The reason probably you have high blood pressure is every single person I've checked over 40 has a congested liver. Think about if you spent 40 years driving your car around and never changed your oil or never changed your oil filter. You know how it probably would just stop running way before 40 years, probably stop running after like 5 years without changing your oil filter. Well, the liver gets so bombarded with all these toxins coming in at your detoxification organ that it just gets so congested with stones and everything else that when you start having high blood pressure, your heart is trying to pump the blood harder and harder through that filter. The liver's not really a filter. The kidneys are more of a filter, but the liver is a detoxification organ. It's the main organ that detoxifies all the chemicals, but it's so overworked that it just, with age, it just keeps losing its ability to process all that stuff, and the blood has to just keep pumping harder and harder to get it through. So if we were taught from an early age that it's just as important to give the inside of our bodies showers and clean them out, because I mean that's where everything goes. Right. I mean 95% of all the toxins that come into your body that cause poor health conditions are caused and come through the intestines. I mean, think about it, like everything that you breathe, a lot of the stuff that you breathe gets stuck in your mucous membranes and comes down into your stomach, which ultimately goes into your intestines.
And causes acid.
Yeah, it just causes all kinds of problems, and then it leaks through your intestinal walls into your bloodstream, and that's when it gets into your blood and it tries to go through the liver, but it's overloaded, so the liver can't handle it all, so it goes back into the blood, and then it gets stuck in somewhere that the body picks, which is a genetically weak link, or it could just be an area of trauma. I mean, you could have been holding trauma down in your ovaries or something. I don't know, there could have been some issue with you emotionally or something. I mean, who knows what it is. It's, you know, could have been genetic.
Sure, sure.
Your body just picked that area, you know, to dump the toxins in. So as you clean the inside of your body, and what's worked with us for everybody, regardless of the condition, is to start with intestinal cleansing, not just colon cleansing, like with a colonic or something, but you have to clean the small intestine. The small intestine, you have about 25 feet. The large intestine, you have about 10 feet. And the small intestine, you have 35 feet of intestinal lining, enough to cover the size of a tennis court. So if you had a tennis court and you just had a tiny small layer of dust on the tennis court and you swept it up into the middle, you would have a pretty big pile. So that's, you know, that's the amount of surface area. So start by cleaning the intestines, and the best way to do that is with an oxygen intestinal cleanser, not using herbs like some people use. And then moving on from the intestines to the liver and the gallbladder, clean that, and then moving on to parasites, cleansing all the parasites out of the body. And then after you clean the parasites out of the body, then cleaning all the chemicals and heavy metals out of the body. And then, you know, all you have to do is just keep the inside of your body clean, and then all your problems most likely just go away. So, how does that sound?
Sounds good.
I mean, can you see it? Do you see the process?
I see the process.
It's really simple. I mean, it was just like, it's just right there. It's, you know, nothing can be contaminated or diseased in a clean state, right? I mean, if you keep your counters and clean everything, there's nothing, it's clean. There's no disease that can be there. There's nothing that can be there. It's the same way inside the body. I mean, if you keep the inside of the body clean, there's nothing that can happen. Because then your body's self-healing mechanism and your immune system is high enough to keep everything in check, because
and
your
over
body...
time it's just this buildup, sludge.
Yeah, your body's able
It's like
to
you said,
deal
not
with
changing
it.
your oil, having a car for many years and not changing your oil. No,
It's just like we clean everything else and keep everything clean except for the inside of our bodies. The most important thing, and you know, if you want to talk about anti-aging and stuff like that, I mean, the best thing you could do. I mean, you could do those cleanses and probably look 10 to 15 years younger.
wow, I can't wait.
All right, you want to see
So I'm going to be 22.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
You already look young.
No,
I mean, what are you,
no.
like in your 30s or something.
No.
All right, so do you want to go through and see all the toxins and learn how to
Sure.
start eliminating
Most
them or
definitely.
replacing them?
Most definitely.
All right.
Okay, now I want.
It's just like if you think I'm going to clean the outside, I'm going to clean here, I'm just going to clean the inside of my body. And it's so,
Cleanliness-
years ago, there was, you know, like 15 years ago, when you heard the word cleansing and detox, I mean, you had to mix all these concoctions together, and you could barely even drink it down because it was just taste so bad. But now, in the last 15 years, and with the stuff that I've actually worked in to develop to make it easier on people, to where everybody has a busy schedule.
I
mean,
know. I
especially
work
now.
12
It's
hours
like-
a day. That
it's not like
scares
you
me.
can-
Like, am I going to have to stay home for 3 weeks?
No, I mean the good thing, that's the reason why I spent so much time trying to do a cleansing program that people could, it would take less than like 2 minutes a day, 2 to 3 minutes a day. They could do a little bit in the morning, they do a little bit at lunch, and in the afternoon just take some pills, boom, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. They just have stuff cleanse their body inside, you know, for them. You know, initially I recommend them going through a little bit more of a cleanse, but after that it's just maintenance. So anyway,
Well, Dory, tell us again what's going on. Kind of that.
the
you
same
know.
thing that you told me, so now that you're going to be on camera.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I guess my health condition is I've had asthma that I developed not as a child but as an adult, so about 9 years ago, and high blood pressure like the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, and then I have an ovarian cyst that's benign, so lots of bleeding from that. And then in my 20s I had Graves' disease, so I had been treated with radioactive iodine, and it killed off my thyroid, so I have to take a synthetic thyroid pill every day, you know, Synthroid or Levoxyl every day.
Right now, what would you rate your health on a scale from 0 to 10? Like 10 being perfect health and 0 being poor health.
Probably due to like stress and those complications a little bit. Like today, there's a change of weather. It's 37 degrees, and that affects my asthma, and you can hear my voice is kind of raspy. And I actually had a breathing treatment this morning, those issues probably like a 5, really.
Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I try to operate that it's a 10. So, you know, I have a lot of energy, and I, you know, have a high demands in my position. So I just push myself to act like it's 10. So psychologically.
What would you rate your stress levels on a daily basis? On 0 to 10, like 10 being extremely.
Most people would have
stress.
needed to be medicated. I'm not medicated or have a DSM code for that. I just, you know, I've had amazing stress, but I've just overcome that in the last couple of years.
Because you know, there's 2 types of stress. There's distress, which is the bad stress, and then there's eustress, which is EU stress, which is actually a good stress. And sometimes.
Oh no, and good stress is important. There's got to be a, you know, balance, I think, too. But sometimes, like my mom passed away, sometimes unexpectedly. She was 66. She had a lot of health issues, but however, you know, it wasn't expected. She died at home in her sleep. So I think things like that, life's issues, can be stressors, and you know, things related to life issues, like for instance, getting married can be a happy event, but it could be stressful. That's why they shower you with gifts. Having a baby is a life issue, but you know, again, that they shower you with gifts because it's traumatic and it's a change and it can be emotionally stressful. Of course, your body's going to go through a lot of stress having that baby. So I think you're right on target. There's good stress and there's bad stress. And I've had my share of both and to juggle.
So how
Some
do you
juggling.
deal with your stress? Like, what do you do to put yourself into a
Oh,
relaxed
well,
state or whatever?
I don't know. I jokingly said to a dermatologist, because after my mom died, I was itching and I developed a little rash. And I told Dr. Wolf, he's at Baylor, said, well, I don't know, what is this from? He goes, oh, I'm going to give you some cortisone. Do you need to eliminate your stress? I said, well, I don't gamble, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, and I don't have a boyfriend. And he said, well, maybe you need to get one. I guess, I don't know, just taking a bubble bath, relaxing, watching a movie, spending time with my daughter, who's, that's probably that. If I had more time, what I find is getting away and traveling is definitely, like I went to Bordeaux with my dad in November, and I think a long plane ride, transatlantic, and experiencing a different culture, a different way of life, and just being away from a 300 email a day, in 25 phone calls, and tasks that only you can handle, that you must handle on a daily basis, probably is the best thing. So,
What's your scale of happiness on a daily basis from 0 to 10?
some days it could be 1 and some days it could be 10. So I have a lot of happiness and joys and overcoming pitfalls, but then some days, it just very challenging. I'm in a very challenging industry, and I've survived when my competitors, my ex-bosses, my ex-partners have not. So I think I've overcome a tremendous amount in the process. But I think now that is probably affecting my health to some extent. I feel that way.
How did that make you feel when the doctor told you that they wanted to just take everything out? Did they want to do a hysterectomy?
Yeah,
a hysterectomy?
complete. It made me, actually, they wanted me to watch a video that made me extremely nauseous, and it kind of scared me because they did it abruptly and said, well, we want you to stop all liquids and all food, only liquids, all food. And then what happened is I did not clear pre-op, to be honest, and from some medicine that I was taking, they wanted me to not take that for 7 days. And then coincidentally, the doctor was going to Tuscany for 3 weeks. And then I said, well, that puts us at October 1st. And he goes, well, I'm booked until October 19th. And I went, wait a minute, I thought this was a necessity. And it made, my brakes went on, and I went, wait, maybe. And the other thing that really concerned me is that I just didn't want, he's like, well, I think we should take your ovaries and your tubes and your cervix. And I'm like, wait, those are my body parts. I would rather just, eliminate the cyst or the problem. I don't think there's a magical pill that'll make the cyst go away, but I think potentially that could be done just to take that problem out. I'm not menopausal yet, I'm sure that'll come, but I'm not. And I think that might change also, my demeanor, it's just one more change. And why deal with something like that if you don't have to at this point?
Have you had any mood swings since you've had your cyst? Have you noticed any?
Now, the people around me will probably tell you yes. As my husband used to say, oh, she has PMS, PPMS, PPP, PMS. You've got about 3 good days with her. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm real upbeat and jovial. Again, though, I think because of layers of stress that normally would affect anyone, that potentially I haven't been my normal self since, like, my mom died, probably. That and I tend to be the cheerleader, and everyone says that I do have a positive attitude, and that's who I am. But I think maybe I bite a little bit. I don't need a muzzle, though. And I wasn't biting before. So,
well, sometimes when you have ovarian cysts, it can disrupt your hormone levels.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
then especially if you do a complete hysterectomy. I mean,
yeah, I
then your
did.
hormones are really messed up, and then you go, then you end up usually gaining a lot of weight. And
Well, I don't need to do that
So
because I don't
hopefully-
have a thyroid. I don't have that helping my metabolism. And sometimes, I mean, I don't even eat 1,000 calories a day, and I can't lose weight because working like on Friday, was in meetings from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. literally in closed meetings. So sometimes, when can you work out? Throughout my life, I have worked out 2 to 3 times a week. It should be more than that, even with a trainer. And I think I need more balance, and I think having more balance in my life, I'll be better, to my agents, to my daughter, to the people around me.
What do you think would happen with your body if you worked as hard on your body as you did at your office?
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And
But I know what you're gonna say. I don't have time for that.
Well, but then if you don't put yourself first, I mean, you've got to, at some point, that's what I've learned. I'm the giver, and I'm constantly taking care of other people and other things around me, and the necessities, their needs before my own. So then I'm the last person, and then I'm not going to be good to them as a leader, as a mother, as a friend.
Very successful people, you see that it's a common trait, and they do so much. They have such vision and passion, and they're very successful, but then they forget about themselves. And I've seen. It's amazing to hear the stories of so many multi-millionaire CEOs of companies that they have the passion to be successful, and by the time that they've made all their money and they're ready to retire, their health has gone all the way down. So they work hard, and burn their body out, and then they have all the money in the world, and then their health and then they have a hard time doing anything with it because they didn't take care of their health. But like I was telling you, the good news is, let's say if you came in and I said, well, you're 50 years old, you're...
Really?
No, I'm just saying, not you, I'm just saying as an example. I was thinking of this guy that came in.
Okay.
Actually, I thought he was
Right.
50, but he was 28. He was a CEO of a corporation. He just worked like 20-hour days since he was 16. And he was completely gray hair, bald. He was just falling apart. I swore he was at least 50. But anyway, if I said, okay, well, you've destroyed your body for 50 years. It's going to take 50 years to fix, The good news is it usually only takes about 90 days.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
you can repair everything in 90 days in most cases, or at least 6 months. So that's a good news. So anyway, but then you have to have the motivation to do that too. I mean,
I'm
it's a
extremely
job that you're
motivated
taking
because-
on yourself, because it's like, okay, this is happening with me. I want to feel like I did when I was 15, 16, 17 again. And I don't want to have to deal with any of these problems. I want to be around for a long time. I want to, be able to think better than I have in 10 years. I want to be able to probably just picture yourself when you were if you were to picture yourself when you were in the best health of your entire life, when would it be? Like you were the happiest, you had no health problems, you had the most energy, no worries, just perfect.
Probably like an age range, I don't know, like I've 14, but 14 to 22, definitely. I mean, yeah.
That's pretty much what everybody says.
14 to
if I could just
22.
be back in that 14 to 22, where just if I knew what I knew now, back then that would be a perfect scenario. But you can get back, pretty far, and you can feel good again, like you did in those days. So anyway, the whole purpose of me coming over here and us doing this is to help you. I mean,
Thank you so much.
Just so you
Thank you.
can understand and slowly start changing your lifestyle, and we can identify the things that are
Toxic.
toxic, and then put together a plan for you so you can start detoxifying your home, detoxifying your office, detoxifying your body, cleaning everything up, and then it's like baby steps. It's like a big staircase that goes all the way up here, and this is perfect health. This is poor health. Most people every day they keep taking one step down, and it might 365 days a year they're taking one step down, and they're every single year. And normally the average person, for every day they spend, they age 3 days. For every year they spend, they age 3 years or more, because they're going down the ladder of health instead of going up the ladder of health, because they're getting more stress and this and that and just more toxins coming in, and they're not cleaning their body, and it just keeps building up and building up and building up. So if you're standing still, you're doing good, or even if you're going up one step at a time. Like, you can make a lot of changes just today. You can eliminate your artificial sweeteners or whatever. Replace them with natural. That's one step. You just went whoop, and you just jumped up a little bit. Then you do this, you jump up a little bit more. Then you jump up a little bit more. Then you do your cleansing, and you could like jump up 100 steps once you clean your liver and your intestines and your all the chemicals and everything that's built up. Once you get everything out that one initial time, then it's just maintenance from then on.
So how does someone feel once they've done a cleanse usually? What major change will I see first?
You're going to see changes in your skin, because your skin is directly related to your intestines, and that's the first cleanse that people do, is an intestinal cleanse. You're going to see a combination of things happen. I mean, the first thing you're going to feel more energized. You're going to feel happier, because a lot of the chemicals that people take in and the heavy metals to get caught up in the brain actually cause you to have symptoms of depression and mood swings and stuff like that. And once you start getting balanced, once your body starts getting balanced, a lot of those little things go away. That's why I usually have everybody fill out, and I'll have you fill out a health questionnaire, and which just you answer like 100 questions on there, and it gives us a baseline on where you were when you started, and then we'll check up on you 3 months later, and we'll see how you are then. But we'll do that later, and now we'll just go around, and because most of the stuff that's causing your problems is going to be right here in this house and at your office, and what you do during the day, where you go to lunch, and what you do for dinner and everything like that. So if we address all of the areas where you're getting your toxins coming in and rectify those, then all of a sudden you're not being exposed to all those toxins on a daily basis anymore, and your body can then kick back in, and your self-healing mechanism kick back in, and you can start getting better instead of getting worse. Like, for example, the air that we're breathing in here right now, do you have an air purification system in here? Do you have something that's going to neutralize all of the toxins that recirculate in the air?
Not that I'm aware of. We have
Okay.
3 units. Not that I'm aware of, no.
And most people don't. Hospitals don't. I mean, that's why infection is so rampant in hospitals. So
What temperature should someone keep? Like, usually I have to have it below 72 to be comfortable. So what temperature do you recommend that somebody keep?
I recommend something that you're comfortable with. I mean, probably you like it low because you don't have a thyroid, so your body probably gets hot or goes through hot and cold swings or something like that. But as long as you're comfortable and you're not too
Whereas
cold
someone
or
else
too hot.
Would tolerate 80 or 78.
Right. Everybody's
or
different. I
someone
mean,
wants 66. So
that's
not.
Every married couple I talk to is completely different. The wife wants it on this, and the husband wants it on this. So the husband wants it on 68, the wife wants it on 72, and so they always like meet in the middle somewhere. So
Okay.
as long as you're comfortable, just keep your body comfortable at a steady temperature. I mean, there are some treatments where you take the body into extreme colds and then extreme heats because it kind of shocks the body. We used to do that with cancer. Cancer cells die at about 105, 106 degrees. And so we would bring the body temperature up to 106 degrees, and the cancer cells would die, but the normal cells wouldn't die. It's called hypothermia. So there are some treatments that you can do to that actually help the body, but most of the time the rapid swings like that we're going through right now with the weather changes, where it's 90 during the day and then gets down to 60 at night, those really aren't that good for the body. to be going through such.
Right, and that's
Something
hence
like that.
like when I have issues with my asthma, when it'll be 90 and then now it's, 40. So that's when again, my voice is raspy today. I had a breathing treatment earlier.
What do you use for your breathing treatment?
A nebulizer and sometimes Zopanex or albuterol. I have the package. We can see what it is. I forget what it is, but I'm on Advair, Singulair, and Combiven is my rescue. So I do Advair. It's like a puffer. It's the steroids but it's local. It's not, but it still goes into my system.
When were you diagnosed with your cysts?
Just 2 months ago.
2
Well,
months
no,
ago.
actually, the 23rd of August. Well, so I guess it is 2 months
And
ago.
how long have you been on your asthma medication?
I'd have to check with my doctor, but I would think probably 4 years now.
The
4 years.
steroids reduce your immune system instantaneously by 50%. So usually whenever anyone's on any type of steroid or asthma medication, it's causing the other areas of the body to really be depleted. So
I mean, I had my choice. I would like to be
I
on
know.
zero medicine.
Look,
but
if
and how
everybody
do you-
knew how easy
and
it
how
was.
do you? And I've even asked, how do you wean yourself of certain medicines? How would you do that? I guess you approach your doctor and say you want to try, because sometimes there's adverse effects going
right
off of
now,
it.
unfortunately, there is, unless you do things with the methods that, that we're teaching, no doctor's going to know how to reduce the medications because they're not going to be focusing. How many doctors have come to your house and evaluated your lifestyle, evaluated your diet, evaluated your home, evaluated your work environment, evaluated
No,
everything
this is
about
a
your life?
gift, a gift from
Because
heaven.
that's
I
the only
appreciate
way
it,
anyone's
yeah.
going to get you. You're going to get
Well,
better. I mean,
and-
and it's not my job to get you better. It's your job to get you better. But the thing is, nobody knows and has the tools themselves to, or it's taken years of research to put things together. And the problem is just lack of education. Children should be taught, about proper diet and everything while they're growing up. I mean,